Welcome to Choosing to Matter Cocktails with Chris, a space for open, honest, and unhurried conversations. In today's episode, we sit down with someone who's shaping our world with purpose and passion. I'm your host, Chris Lubkeman. Join me as we explore how our guest has chosen and chooses to matter. Dear listeners, for today's conversation, I'm joined by Ramon Schalch, CEO of the V Collective, the company that oversees the brands V Cafe and VV Cola. We have invited him today to share his journey of growth, resilience, and innovation, transforming a small espresso bar into a nationally recognized coffee brand, which embraces sustainability and ethical business practices. So Ramon, welcome to Choosing to Matter. So, Ramon, how would you introduce yourself to our listeners in one sentence?
In one sentence?
In one sentence.
I'm Ramon. I'm a hiker, a hobby cyclist, a member of Year 2040, a husband, and the CEO of V Collective.
That's excellent. It's perfect. A very, very multifaceted human. Well, yes. I would say well-rounded, let's say. We're going to come into that a bit more. So tell us more about V Collective. What is V Collective?
V Collective is the legal entity of, we're basically running two brands, a coffee brand V Cafe and the soft drink VV Cola.
Okay.
So it all emerged out of the soft drink company. So Christian and Kurt, the founders and majority owners, they brought back VV Cola and added more drinks. And so as the V in the name of V Cafe already says, it emerged out of this company.
Okay, that's great. So Ramon.
Yes.
Cocktails. The subtitle of our podcast is Cocktails with Chris. And you have a favorite cocktail which you have suggested. What is it and why?
We're having a virgin espresso martini. For me, it was clear that coffee has to be in it.
Yeah.
And I just think that espresso martini is a very elegant drink to have a chat with Chris.
That's perfect. So let's have a try. I have to say, I've never had one of these. So
it's the first time.
It's the first time for everything. So cheers.
Cheers.
Actually, it's quite good. It sort of tastes like a milkshake.
It's refreshing.
It's very refreshing. So that's really great. So when was the first time you had an espresso martini?
And the first time espresso martini goes back to, I think, 2008 in New York.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't exactly remember which rooftop bar it was, but
okay,
it was back in New York.
Okay. And what were you doing in New York at that time?
I went to the US to learn English and spent quite some time on the West Coast in San Diego, and then met up with friends, which I knew back from my Asaki times. Yeah. We met in New York and had a great weekend.
That's great. So rooftop bars, when you think of the espresso martini, you're going back to the summer days, winter days of New York.
Yeah, very hot, steamy summer days in New York.
Very hot, steamy summer days in New York.
Yes.
And somehow an espresso, for me, if I had an espresso martini at night, I think I would be up all night.
That was the goal.
There you go. I love it.
As I said, it was back in 2008.
Exactly. A few years ago. You were a younger man then, let's just say. Yeah,
exactly.
Fantastic. So where did your love of coffee come from?
That's evolved over time. I always was fascinated by the smell of coffee already as a child. I started preparing the coffee for my parents at a very young age. But then I really got in contact with coffee back in 2014 when I lived for about a year in Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah, I was already interested in the raw materials, in coffee itself, but didn't have much of an idea what's behind that product. And then I got the opportunity to live 1 year in Bogota, in Colombia. And I used that opportunity to travel around and also ended up on a coffee farm. And that was the first time that I saw how much human labor and how much passion is
behind the bean.
behind the bean
Yeah.
and in this bean, exactly. Yeah, I wasn't really aware of this before because I was used to espresso capsules and just the regular standard coffee we have here.
So purple, red, that was just you pick one, you pop in.
Exactly. I always liked the flavor, the product. It was always a beautiful moment within the day, a moment of joy, a moment of a break. And I always liked the social aspect of the product. It's a product that brings people together. So it has it's human connection. You share a lot of moments over a cup of coffee, and I always liked that, but I wasn't really aware of the industry behind, of the people behind the product.
And in Bogota, you were there to learn Spanish, or were you there to...
Yes, I was there to learn Spanish. I was gifted a Spanish name without the Spanish language skills. And already back in San Diego, there was always an issue when they heard my accent. They replied in Spanish with my name. And then I did my master's in Barcelona, where they speak Catalan. So I said, after all that time still not speaking Spanish, I need to go to a country where I learn the language skills. And I always want to have this experience in an emerging market.
Yeah, okay.
Just something very different from California or Spain and Switzerland. And that was a beautiful experience, very intense. And
So you grew up in Switzerland?
I grew up in Switzerland, yes.
Okay. And Ramon, how come you have Ramon as a name?
That's always the second question. And that's just a name that appealed to my parents. There's no Spanish background.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you said you were gifted with this name without the Spanish gene, the Spanish language skills. So in a way, at birth, you were given a path.
Exactly, yeah. And some people say it even matches my appearance. But no, I'm Swiss, born and raised here. And it's a name that I like and a name that I can travel with. It's an easy name also for 8 languages. And yeah, it's part of my identity.
Yeah, that's really cool. I want to learn a little bit more about you. So how would you describe what you do now to your grandparents?
What I do to my grandparents?
Yeah, how would you describe what you do?
Somehow I'm following their path, pushing their boundaries. Already my grandfather was not in coffee, but the family was working in similar countries. They have been in the cotton industry.
Okay.
And they used to work in Guatemala, and they also lived, that's why my grandmother is half Egyptian.
Okay.
Yeah, it was always a family of adventure.
Okay.
And through the product of coffee, I somehow follow a similar path and have this inner fire for adventure within me, I think. But obviously we do it slightly different than in the old days.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you were going to describe to them, you would say basically, I'm following in your footsteps, exploring the world and bringing product home.
Exactly. Yeah.
In some way. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That was sort of within your makeup today. So one could say, was it fate or design that brought you to the V Collective?
I think coincidence. I wasn't really consciously following the path of my grandparents. It's just these funny coincidences or the stories over a cup of coffee or dinner with a coffee farmer in Guatemala, who sometimes they even also have European heritage, and sometimes not. But it's the path of trade, which didn't change much in the last 100 years, and different products follow that path. And I think it's a very interesting path. It's not only where goods travel, it's also where the money travels, where power travels. And I think that's exactly where we need to drive change if we want to change the way we do business today and in the future.
So in that, what's important to you in you saying driving change in business? Because you have a very distinct attitude about the V Collective and how you want to drive the business.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
And so first and foremost, we always want to bring back the best quality products. That's why we go on these adventures searching for the best coffee.
So you go
in the
yourself?
world. I go myself.
Yeah.
I have a team that's specialized in sourcing coffee beans. And from each and every bean we roast here in Zurich, we know exactly on which soil it grows, which people, which families are behind this, and how the bean travels. So we basically engage ourselves in an entire value chain.
So, but why is that important?
That we can deliver our promise to our customers.
Which is?
Which is that we know exactly where the bean comes from, and that is sustainably grown coffee. And we're not perfect, no one is, but that we each and every day we get up and do our best to improve and to strengthen the value chain. And I always also tell to my colleagues, we are only as strong as our value chain. It's not a brand versus the other brand. We need to strengthen the weakest element in that value chain, and that is often on the other side of the chain, which is the coffee farmer. And it's for us, it's also very important, and I think in the long run, it gives a competitive advantage to literally understand what's happening in between the coffee farm and the cup of coffee we serve to our customers, especially nowadays.
And in that value chain, what do you from literally from the bean to your roaster to the customer, what intrigues you most as an opportunity for different choices to be made, or new choices to be made, or different directions, or certain things you're doing in that chain?
Yeah. That's probably my nature. I always want to explore. I think we have to be a brand, or we also have to, a company that drives change, that explores new innovations, that seeks new ways of doing things. I think that's also human nature. We evolve. And when you travel back the value chain, you also see that there's need for change, and we try to distribute and also to take out the volatility of risks. For example, and we can much better calculate our risks than a coffee farmer in Colombia or in Ethiopia. So we try to participate and see them as partners. And it's not only the coffee farmer; it's also transport companies in between. So there are many elements that need to work together until we can serve an excellent cup of coffee. And at the end of the day, I also truly believe that we can improve the taste, which is the ultimate goal, is to improve the product when everyone involved in the value chain understands what we're doing. And what the end customer, who, like the two of us who now enjoy an espresso martini, there is an espresso in it, that they understand how we drink the product, which is their business.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to imagine what a farmer in the fields of the bean would think of us sitting here drinking their coffee in the Schweizerhof Hotel.
Yeah, exactly. That's very different. And also when you travel different countries, there are different coffee cultures, and there are different cultures per se. And I think it is important to engage them, and that's why sometimes it's not only that we travel to the origin countries. I also started to bring the coffee farmers to Zurich and just work with them together in one of our coffee bars. And what I usually can observe is they feel extremely proud, and they're super proud to talk about their product and actually see a face in front of them, hopefully with a smile, enjoying their product, because they're often they're so detached from the value chain, and I think that also brings them joy and motivation to keep going and also explore new ways and innovations in their field, in their expertise. And I think they're also super interesting personalities. So coffee farmers are, I would say, probably like any other farmers, one of the most interesting people you can meet.
Sure.
And I often compare them to pro athletes or artists. They're extremely skilled in their field, but they work outside of the spotlight.
Sure.
They work at the source of life, the soil, and they produce our nutrition, our food and beverages, and they're extremely skilled, and they know much more than we do about nature and soil health.
About their place and about their future.
Exactly. And they also play a role in at the end, in the health of us and our customers, because that's something we take into our body.
Perhaps. It's quite interesting to think about an individual who comes from a coffee farm in the middle of the countryside, plucking them out and landing them here on the Bahnhofstrasse or one of your stores for them to see, because you've traveled as an adventurer, I've traveled as, there's no such thing as normal in the world. Everyone has their own normal. And for them to be in such a different place, it's quite fascinating.
It is. And it's all, it is fascinating. It's as much an adventure for them as it is for us to travel to their homes and farms. And we do have a privilege that we can travel.
Sure.
We do have the language skills, we do have the means to travel, and we also do see the best practices around the world. So I also see it as an obligation to share these best practices among the farmers around the world. And sometimes they can learn from each other, even it's on the African continent or in Americas. But not everything works on every farm, obviously.
Yeah.
But bringing them also to the consumer markets, what we could observe is it also motivates them to go back and share their experience. They do the same as we do.
Sure.
They go back home, they share their experience, they're extremely proud, and they tell their neighbors, their families, and this sets off a lot of energy, not only on the farm, but also around the farms.
Yeah.
And that's also one of our goals.
It's a great ripple effect. To make that. So
exactly, and that's also one of our goals. That we also have the V Foundation, where we consciously work on sustainability projects, always with the aim to create positive impact on the farm, but also around the farms. Because one farmer alone doesn't make a change. Often these are like large communities, valleys, entire valleys. They make a living out of coffee, and that's my motivation, or our motivation, aspiration to drive change, positive change, but not by telling them what they have to do, but by inspiring them or giving them access to knowledge or technology, so they know best what they can do.
That's really fantastic. What did you want to do when you were 16?
I wanted to become a pro ice hockey player.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
A pro ice hockey player?
Yeah, that was the plan.
No kidding.
Yeah, I started playing. I grew up with sports. I played tennis and ice hockey.
Yeah.
And then at the age about 12, 13, it became more serious. So I had to decide for one sport. And because I like teams, I decided to play ice hockey. And it's also why I left home rather early, in the age of 15. So that's why I came to Zurich. I didn't grow up in Zurich, but I came at the age of 15. I was traded to an ice hockey club here in Zurich.
You were traded. You were
not traded. I got sold, right?
That sounds like human trafficking, Ramon.
That's the sports industry. Yeah. That's what it is. Nobody was. I played for the Swiss national team.
Okay.
And they told me that when you want to play World Cups, you need to play for an A team. And I grew up in Frauenfeld, Canton Thurgau. They are in the B League, Nationalliga B. So it was clear I need to change my club. Yeah. And so I had different options. And obviously, at the age of 16, I chose Zurich.
Yeah, of course you would.
It was the most interesting place to live. And I left home, so I went to Kloten and did the sports gymnasium here in Zurich at Remibiel. Yeah. And that was the dream, that I was chasing the dream of becoming a pro athlete.
Yep. And what happened? You chased the dream of coffee then?
Yes, the dream of coffee came later and was more a substitute. So chasing the dream of becoming a pro athlete ended very abrupt overnight in a game. I had a severe accident during an ice hockey game, so my knee was completely destroyed. And at the age of 18, 18 and a half.
Hard.
Then this dream ended basically overnight. So I didn't want to believe it. The doctors told me that you will never play ice hockey again. I couldn't believe that. Tried hard again to come back, but they were
right.
They were right. So that's was an abrupt end.
It's a hard path, but obviously you're back on your feet. You're now running again.
Yes.
So that perhaps for the world was a good thing.
I don't know whether for the world it was a good thing. It definitely was for me. It was probably one of the key moments in my life so far. At the age of 18, I've had to learn how to bounce back. And because I didn't have a plan B, that was the plan. I just signed a new contract, played a great season, and then everything was over overnight. So I had to go through a complete reset. And
it's a hard moment.
It's a hard moment, and with a physical impact on your body, I'm happy that I can walk, travel, just have a regular life without pain. But it took me a while, a couple of surgeries, 1.5 years to get back on the feet. And
So then at 20, plus or minus, what did you decide you were going to do?
At 20, that was the age when I had to figure it out. Because as I said, I didn't have a plan B. I knew that I was bound to training plan. So we trained twice a day, so there wasn't much room to be all over the place. There was the schedule was always dictated by training and the games. And then suddenly you had all the freedom. Every weekend free, and you can travel and you can do this and that. And then that's when I decided to go to San Diego. It's just I needed to create some distance between me and the sport, and to have just a clear mind, have some silence, and just the room to think what else I could do, what else I want to study. Luckily, I went through the sports school of Swiss Olympics, so I had my matura, and this opened all the doors for university. But I didn't know exactly which discipline I should go into. And then that's when I went to San Diego to figure that out. Came back to start my studies, and then I really used my 20s to travel and to spend time abroad. I wasn't just a backpacker. But always combined it with studies.
So learning of some kind.
Exactly. Constant learning. I was because I played ice hockey, I didn't go to university with 18, 19. So then until I decided what I want to do, I was already 21, 23. So I combined living abroad, traveling with university and doing my degrees.
And so what did you decide you were going to study?
I realized that I like to travel and I like to explore different cultures. So I studied international management. First, I just did I subscribed for 2 universities, which is just a regular economic studies, and then international management. And this international aspect, it's what interests me most. That's why I decided to go that path. For the sole reason that it allowed me to do 1/3 of it to study abroad. Because I really liked it in San Diego. They gave me the chance to go back to UCSD and do 1 year at UCSD in my bachelor's. And then after that, I decided to work for a while. And then I did a master's in international marketing. And so I decided to do my master's in Barcelona.
That's where you came with the Spanish, and that kind of then led you to South America and coffee.
Exactly, yeah, I met a lot of Colombians in Spain, and they always told me how colorful and beautiful it is in Colombia. and that would be a very good place for me. And I had to explore and experience it myself.
So at what point did you decide that you were going to create a business around coffee? Because at that point, when you were traveling, you could have done almost anything, really. There was sort of, the world was so open for you.
True.
When did you decide that coffee was going to be your thing?
That was in late 2014, and again, by coincidence, I was still sticking to the athletes, so to the sports path. With a degree in marketing, my plan was to work in sports marketing.
Okay, yeah. Because the world you knew very well.
That's the world I felt comfortable, exactly, and all my friends were still playing. So that was actually the plan. Then I came back and realized that Switzerland is a very bad market for this because the leagues are very small and they are probably skiing, like a few winter sports, soccer and ice hockey, and that's about it. So you had to go again back to the US or to the UK, where it's really interesting to work in sports marketing. And then I just decided, for me, after all this traveling, it's also nice to be back in Zurich. And then I remembered a conversation I had in Colombia, because that was the first time after probably roughly 10 months when I heard Swiss German in a remote valley in Colombia, up 2,500 meters above sea level, on a hike, and there was a couple on honeymoon. And so we started talking, and we went on the same hike together, and then she told me, okay, so when you come back to Zurich, to Switzerland, you need to call my best friend from University of St. Gallen. He works for a coffee company, and they always look for people like you. And I didn't think much about it. I just took a note, mental note. I didn't call him immediately, but then when I decided that sports marketing in Switzerland is rather difficult, I just like this thought of coffee was still floating around in my head. So I just called this guy. He's called Pascal and worked for Vol Café in Winterthur, which is back then one of the biggest coffee trading companies in the world. And so then the first plan was actually to start as a junior trader at the trading desk at Vol Café as a coffee trader. And I went through the whole recruiting process, even talked to the CEO, entry days. And then Pascal called me and said, I'm sorry, but we have to relocate people from abroad. We bring them to Winterthur, so you just have to wait, but your trading desk will be covered by an internal person. And that was, I told him, okay, then I'll wait, but I need a job.
I have rent to pay,
I'll look for something else. And the next day I told this to my best friend from university, Camilo, who just started 2 months before in a company called Vivicola in marketing. So he had that insight that the owners actually want to build a coffee business. And he thought it would be a great idea to share a cup of coffee with them and just talk. And that's what we did. And a few weeks later, we opened the first espresso bar in Zürich Wiedekon.
That's fantastic. So it was a bit of fate and design. The design being the marketing part, the international part, the fate being that moment, that call, that opportunity which closed one door and another one opened.
Exactly, yeah. I think life always brings opportunities, and you just have to be aware of them and have the capacity to see them and catch them if you want. And this Pascal now is our head of sourcing, chasing the beans for us now.
Really? So you hired him?
Instead of he hired me a few years later, we hired him and brought him from Vol Café to V Café.
That's great. Yeah. I love that. So you do many things. So you have done many things with the V Collective to really make a positive difference. I mean, this is what's so fascinating to me about you and what you're doing. One of those is the cup which we have here, which I'm so fascinated by.
Yes.
And because it's a choice which you have made to change something which frustrated you. Mm-hmm. Tell us about this cup.
That's the clay cup. And the clay cup within V-Cafe, it's a lighthouse project because it's at the core of the business. And it's one of the things we are not very proud are the single-use cups. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned before, we are not perfect and we will never be. So I accepted that. Mm-hmm. But we still have an obligation to try hard and get up every morning to become better. And this clay cup appeared. It's from a company called Gaia Star. It's from Sanjeev. Sanjeev is from Indian heritage, but born and raised in San Francisco, California, and he's an engineer. And he visited his family back in India, and where the chai culture is using handmade clay cups to have a chai after dinner. And then they just throw it to the ground, and it splits into shards, and it's basically the concept of earth back to earth. Mm-hmm. And then that's a thought that caught his attention, but he didn't do anything with it for about 10 years. But he always kept it in his mind and thought, how can I combine modern technology with ancient culture? Because clay vessels is nothing new. Like the Romans, the Greek, and many, many other cultures were eating and drinking out of clay vessels. Whether these are pots, bowls, cups, you name it, that was the material in for food, for food and beverages for hundreds and thousands of years. And single-use paper cups is it's not the smartest invention of humanity. That really had its moment probably in the 60s, when we entered a time where convenience was put above everything else, and also the convenience of the product. And this is something at the core of our business, and we see it as our obligation to at least challenge the system. Mm-hmm. And that's a very interesting process and a very difficult one as well, because it is disrupting the industry. But we said, if not us, we have to try.
Sure.
And so I met Sanjeev, and he just a very early stage startup company. They have 2 printers, one in San Francisco, one in Berlin, which do the prototypes. These cups, but he is an engineer. He doesn't run a coffee shop or a restaurant or anything like that. And we thought that's a perfect match, that we serve the to-go industry. It's we don't replace porcelain cups with clay cups, but really the single-use cups. And that we could play that role of really doing the market test. Sure. How do consumers react? Because as you said, at the end, it's for us as a company, it's a conscious decision. Yeah. Let's give it a shot, even if it's a moonshot. Sure. But it comes down to the power of choice of every consumer. Yeah. So what I want to do, and our ambition is to provide alternatives. And you can't disrupt and change the system from one day to another, but you need to plant the seed and show options and explore new ways of making the to-go coffee circular. And we are not there yet. Sure. It's still early stage, but that is the high ambition that we have. And I like the product a lot. Just to add on, it's very interesting from a sustainability standpoint. Of course, the end idea is to use local material, to have the printer close to us. But it's also a drinking experience. Because it's a different haptic, so it's a different touch and feel. It's back to this, what we're used to. It feels more valuable than a paper cup. And I think this also elevates the drinking experience of the consumer. And I think that is super important when you drive change or when you do change, whether this is with the coffee farmers or with a cup or anything else, we always try to create win-win-win situations. Because there's so many, like there are too many beautiful ideas that only have one win.
Sure.
And that's when they often fail. So we've through this cup, we try to elevate the drinking experience. We try to create a positive impact and challenge the status quo.
I think that's really fantastic because I think of choices. You've chosen something which is quite elegant, frankly.
Exactly, it's beautiful.
It's very beautiful as an object, and at the same time, when this is let's say it's cracked or chipped, or at some point, you can quite literally just put this in the backyard, and it will eventually dissolve.
Yes.
And go back to the earth.
Exactly. So it's zero plastic. It's literally just clay, salt, and water. So when you just throw it to the floor or you stand on it, it becomes sand. So.
And I'm just curious, what's the inside coating?
Nothing. It's just a different temperature.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. Yeah, they're smart. They're engineers. They know their material, and no, that's super interesting. Everyone asks that question. It's the coating, because the coating is the issue with the paper cup.
Right, exactly.
And there is no coating. It's just a different temperature. It's slightly hotter. So if you would add even more heat, it becomes porcelain.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
So it just play with very old elements and play the same techniques, the same logic with different technology.
That's really cool. I like that. So this is a potential disruptor, but also a disruptor in a positive sense. A 3D printed multi-use cup. What else have you got planned as a disruptor in the market or in life?
Well, we have many projects. That's probably the most disrupting that we have, because it's also so visible. And then we do within V Collective. We have a lot of initiatives that are not in the spotlight, that you don't see, as I said, a lot on the farms. We do collaborate in pilots in Kenya, Farm Better, which is a project that educates and trains and supports farmers with knowledge and data through cell phones, because no matter how remote you go, there's a cell phone, and Farm Better then has a database, and they have agronomists that act as extension agents. So if you have an issue on your farm, whether there's the health of your chicken or fungus on your plant, there's a network that can teach you and help you, and that's something we pilot in Kenya currently.
Awesome.
So we have a lot of these initiatives on the farm, as I said, always trying to foster ecological agriculture, so that the farms can work without pesticide and herbicides.
I love how you're making a bridge between different cultures, multiple bridges, and different income brackets, different social structures, different governmental structures, different, you're really finding a way to help improve the lives of many people all over the world through a product which you love.
Yes.
So I think I really do truly appreciate that. So if you step into the future, because one of your goals is to improve people's lives and to give people a better drinking experience and more sustainable. So if we look forward, what motivates you to look at a positive future? What excites you about the future?
Well, that we are living on such a beautiful planet, beautiful people, and as I said, what drives me is, or what motivates me is this human connection, and to change something for the positive is one of the best feelings you can have, and I've realized that you can't do it on your own. You always need a team. A team is always smarter than you, and that is true on different scales, even in countries. And as I said, coffee for me, that's the mean to transport this vision and these ambitions. and it's in food and beverage, and I think nutrition and food and beverage is such an integral part of our lives, but also of the global economy and the state of the planet. The way we do it today, it's a problem.
Which part is a problem?
Agriculture, like large-scale agriculture is a problem for climate change, and at the same time, farming has one of the biggest opportunities to change it around. If you do sustainable farming, we capture so much CO2 instead of emitting.
Yep. So part of your envisioned future is a change in the way one does farming practices.
Yes.
And if I think of coffee and massive farming, to me, those are two different worlds. Correct me if I'm wrong, help me understand that, because to me, it sounds like many of the people you work with your farmers are more smallholders or medium holders, not necessarily huge agro groups.
Yes. The partners we work with, yes. I mean, we do have partner farms from all different sizes, also consciously, because we want to understand the differences. But the majority of the industry is large-scale farming, mainly in Brazil and Vietnam, and like the big producing countries that are having difficulties right now. But it's part of the problem. Yes, it's not necessarily the partners we work with, but we also a very, very tiny fish in the pool.
Yeah, you're part of a system.
Exactly.
Right, and so trying to understand that system. So if we look to the future with climate change, with biodiversity loss, with a lot of the challenges which we see, what keeps you hopeful?
That there is always a way. We just need to decide to be willing to suffer, because I think conscious learning always comes with the willing to suffer an injury in your self-esteem, even, right? And that's why kids learn so easily, and large systems are very heavy and can hardly drive any change. But there are opportunities, there are solutions. I think we have much more on the table sometimes than what we think. But again, it's this collaborative effort. We just have to execute and to be bold and to make these choices, no matter how small the choice is. That what matters. Yeah. It's like your small choices each and every day. That what drives change in the future, and I think that's why I find it really interesting to make that connection that future is not, it's such an abstract term, it's in the future, but we're shaping the future today. So I'm not concerned about the future, I'm concerned about the present.
Interesting.
And it's just a sentence, it's also not a sentence of myself. I just heard that in a speech from a very intelligent young woman, but that really made something with me. It made me thought. It's kind of, the future will be all right if we make the right choices today. So I'm more concerned about what's going on today and how we make our choices, because that will shape the future.
Yeah, Ramon, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's a really beautiful way to wrap up our conversation. This is a perfect way. Is there some place as one wants to learn more about you and your work, where can they go?
The easiest way is to go on our website, on online shop, vcafe.ch.
Okay.
That's where you find not only all our products, but also travel documents and text and the stories, pictures, videos on how we see the world and how we see the product coffee, but also learn about the relationships we have with the coffee farmers and our customers. And
is that also where the foundation work is there? Is that also there or no? Is it the V Foundation?
There is a link to V Foundation.
Okay.
We consciously separated it to make it an independent entity where we do the foundation work, because sometimes the same people are involved and it's difficult to have a price negotiation and then
Sure.
give the money back for a project, or that you don't subconsciously calculate that in.
Yeah.
And it's also because we're not experts. It's we do have a platform, or we have the power to create the platform, but they're experts in agroecology, in agroforestry, and I much rather have them assessing the ideas of our farmers and driving change. And one of the core and the logic of the foundation is also not to tell the people what they have to do. So they can pitch projects. They know best what they need. They know best what they need for their families, for their farms, or for their communities. And then the expert panel does an assessment and supports, whether this is financial support, but also knowledge or network.
Yeah.
But there's a link on the website.
Perfect.
And with all the different projects.
So to find out more about Ramon, they can go to vcafe.ch or vcafe.ch and find more about it. So I want to say a huge thank you to you for your passion, for your work, for your great coffee, fantastic coffee, and for the choices that you have made that brought you here. They're truly choices that matter, and this is the reason why you're with us today. And so what I'd like to do is make a toast to our collective future.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chris.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Thank you so much for listening today. It's really been a pleasure to share this story with you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon and meeting our next guest. And as always, do something today that makes a difference in somebody's life. Choose to matter.